Folks, thanks for joining us today. My name's John Dubas with Premier Marketing, and we'll be spending the next 45 minutes or so discussing one of the tools made available to Premier contracted agents through our relationship with CSG, and that's the Market Edge tool that will help you pinpoint your markets moving forward, your target markets. And that's particularly important now where so many folks are going virtual and expanding their propinquity. You got a much greater reach into the community. And this tool and its proper utilization and the demo that our guest speaker, Taylor McDonald, will give to us in just a little bit gives us an indication as to where we might best focus our efforts. And as I mentioned, this is made available to Premier Marketing contracted agents without cost. So we want to make certain that you realize that it's there for you and how we can utilize it. We'll start with a bit of housekeeping. You'll notice in the software system that there is a questions and a chat portion in that software. We ask that you put your questions in the questions section, logical, and we'll make certain that we address them at least by the end of the webinar. And we find that in many cases, we're doing that as we go along anyway, but we want to make certain that we have your inquiries covered. Also, today's presentation is being recorded. So that link to the recording and other detail that we reference throughout the presentation will be sent to everyone who RSVP'd to today's meeting, but the recordings will also be posted on our website at premiersmi.com and on our YouTube channel as well. So a nice way of making certain that you have the information as quickly as possible as it uploads in the system. One of the things we want to start with very briefly and very quickly is give a bit of a level set as to who Premier Marketing is. The vast majority of you folks are very familiar with us, but we are a national marketing organization founded in 1968, licensed in all 50 states. We're part of the Integrity Marketing Platform with offices across the country, and we act as an insurance wholesaler working through independent agents such as yourself with contracts available at the highest possible commission levels and recruiting contracts available to those who qualify. It's done through a full portfolio of products, the Medicare programs, the Med Advantage, Med Sup, PDP plans, but also through life insurance and annuity portfolios, offerings and final expense and pre-need plans, long and short-term care programs, disability income plans, and ancillary benefits such as dental, vision, hearing, critical illness, cancer, hospital indemnity, and accident plans, and a newly rolled out telehealth benefit. This is particularly pertinent to today's discussion because the CSG tool has a lot of other benefits that it delivers to us that helps us cross-sell and determine other programs that are a valid offering to your prospects and books of business. That Medicare Advantage portfolio does include all the national carriers with many of the strong regionals that come as an influencer in your market, and the same philosophy carries over into the standalone Part D drugs, the PDP plans, where those are available to you through our organization, in many cases through the same contract that you complete for the MAPD plans. Med Sups, big portfolio, nice offering, also great tools there to help you market in this space. And once again, this portion of MedicareCENTER, CSG, is a great tool to help you in this space as well. The ancillary products in each of the categories, national leaders are there for you, and you'll see on some of the subsequent things that we're going to send you about how to cross-sell using the CSG tool as well. Everyone's aware of the Medicare marketing opportunity for the most part, but if you're looking at it based just on age, you're looking at almost an exponential curve where more and more people are being made are beneficiaries of the Medicare products. You know, the aging of the baby boomers, the silver tsunami, 10,000 plus a day, one every 10 seconds. But if you look at it just based on age, you're a little off on your market because there are some folks, particularly in the recent environment influenced by the pandemic, that are deferring their Medicare benefits past the age of 65. But that's more than made up by the 15% of the Medicare population that's under 65 accessing benefits because of disability. And we need to make certain that we can address their needs because of their chronic conditions that they deal with, some of the challenges with their budget, and the choices that they have to make coverages. And that's where this tool can also be very, very helpful for you in helping them with the choices that they have available. They're making some pretty even splits on a lot of what they're doing here between MedAdvantage and MedSup. And there is that portion still that don't do anything at all or have other coverage such as retiree coverage, coverage through the VA, might be a dual beneficiary with Medicare, Medicaid, that sort of thing. So we want to make certain that we have the tools available to target the proper audience and deliver upon the products that are there and translate what they're looking at. So part of what you will see as part of the follow-up is a link to this acronym guide that can help you make certain that we're translating MICKEYMOUSE kind of. We want to pay a little bit of attention to the election periods and the SEPs. We're pretty all aware of what's going on, what we can do and when it comes to the standard election periods. There's a ton of SEPs out there as well. So folks have an opportunity, many of them, the majority of them on Medicare, to change year round, regardless of what the lock-in restrictions may be for some of them. And it's also augmented by the fact that there are a number of special election periods brought about by the weather. And so utilizing this tool now helps us properly target areas that may have an opportunity to change, not only down the road, but now as well. And we're finding, of course, that the majority of people aren't doing their annual reviews. Kaiser Family Foundation tells us 57% of them don't do it annually. So our reaching out with pinpoint accuracy can make a huge difference, because the folks that really need the help aren't doing it. And some of the folks that are most vulnerable, that really need an explanation, can really benefit from our outreach directed by the tools we have available. They're not even using Plan Finder on Medicare.gov. So our role is ever more important, and utilizing a program that helps us target our market can really help that. And it also enables us to do some things in the delivery system of that information based on what's best for our clients, our prospects. We can do it in person, we can do it virtually. That's some of the joys of the electronic access we have with the CSG tool moving on. So what we're looking to do today is determine how we can identify specific opportunities that we have available and go beyond what the government says is there. Yeah, we can do some plan detail utilizing the Plan Finder. We can also do it in our MedicareCENTER, but we want to make certain that we use that program with that universal login, access these 3 powerful machines that are in there for you, and realize that, hey, it's got a CRM that comes with it. That'll help us too. So finally, what we're looking to do now is make certain that you're aware of the fact that the Market Edge tool that's available to you through your relationship with Premier Marketing can make a huge difference on how we can pinpoint the proper audiences for our programs. And so what we've done is we've requested, and she's graciously accepted, the help of Taylor McDonald, who is going to give us a live demo on how this works. Taylor is a business development manager with CSG Actuarial, a very good speaker. I think you're going to enjoy this presentation a great deal. And at this time, I'm going to turn control over to Ms. McDonald. And Taylor, you have the helm.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. And I just want to say that this is a very exciting tool to have access to, and it shows Premier's dedication to their agents that they're giving them access to such a great tool, because not everyone has access to this Market Edge tool. So that really sets you apart, having such great access to be able to target the areas and really increase your sales and use this tool to sell more. So we're going to be jumping into this Market Edge tool. So we'll go ahead and click Run Search from the dashboard. You'll see this Market Edge icon is listed under your toolbox. And then really this Market Edge database has 2 different options, or 2 different avenues that you can leverage. The first one is called Market Edge. It's the original Market Edge tool, as I refer to it. And then the second one is called Rate Comparison. So you'll notice up at the top right-hand corner of my screen, I have this little button that says Go to Rate Comparison. So if I click this, we can toggle back and forth between the quote history and also the rate comparison. So I do just want to point that out, that we have this, not only the Market Edge tool as we originally call it, but we do have a new rate comparison tool within this as well. So be sure to utilize both of them, and we'll be walking through examples of both of them today. So on the original Medicare Supplement Market Edge tool, it leverages Medicare supplement data and Medicare Advantage data. And really what this tool is, it's the ultimate sales and marketing research tool because it leverages the millions of quotes that are run across our tools, as well as the carrier data that we have to create a visual input and custom heat maps to understand the competitive landscape. So these are not only quotes leveraged from the Premier quoting tool, but across all of CSG Actuarial's quoting tool. So again, there's millions and millions of quotes run that are leveraged on the system. So the original Market Edge is going to leverage the quote history and carrier competitiveness or demographics. So we'll start by running a quick quote here, or a quick search. We'll select a state. You can select any state that you'd like, or any combination or multiple states. So we'll go ahead and we'll select Nebraska for today's example. So we'll search our state that we'd like, and then we can choose our plan. So again, this is quote history. So we're looking at the quote history for Plan G quotes, non-tobacco. Let's do age 65, and we'll do all male, female genders here, and we'll include both of those in our search. And then it's going to default, you could say, to the past month. So you can see today's the 22nd of April, so it's going to show March 22nd to April 22nd. And then we can always change this if we want. So maybe we want to see quote history since January 1 of the year. We can always move this back to see a larger range, but this will default to the past month. Then we can choose how we'd like to view our results. So we really like to highlight the mapping because it's so easy to see a quick visual, but you can also do a chart view or a table view. So we'll leave that map today, but I'll show a quick example at the end of how you can maybe see it in a different way. So we'll select that we want the quote history with metrics. This refers to the carrier metrics that are included in the tool. And then once we've entered everything here, we've got our quote history for the state of Nebraska for the past month for Plan G quotes for age 65, non-tobacco, and we have male and female. We'll go ahead and click Run Search, and it's going to actually build this map for us from scratch. So it's pulling in this data. So we'll go ahead and take a peek at the results here. I did pull this up. So we keep moving here through the demo. It just takes a few moments to load, and then here's our results. So we have the state of Nebraska loaded here, and we do see the quotes that have been run in the past month for male and female. And as we hover over each of these areas on the map, it will show us these different MedSup quotes that were run. So for the zip code here, 693, we can see that 187 quotes were run in the past month. We can see that for the population over 65, there's 15,376 people, and the population turning 65 this month is 85. Again, this is just for that 3-digit zip, so it pulls in your demographic information, and then it also shows the MedSup policyholder count and the Medicare Advantage enrollment numbers. So we can see all this information listed here. It shows us all the different colors on the map, and it is sorted by the areas that have the most quotes run. So on the left-hand side of your screen, you can filter this by MedSup quotes, and you can show the different demographics. So we can really see how we can change this map by selecting different options on the left-hand side of our screen. Again, this is showing our MedSup quotes and the numbers there, but you can always change on the left-hand side to show a different map. So that's our quote history. This is really good to be able to see where quotes are being run and also see that demographic information. On the left-hand side of our screen, we can change this filter to any of these demographic numbers, and then it will show the map based on those data points. So that's a great way to be able to see it. And then we also do have the rate comparison data. Looks like my computer is freezing up a little bit here on me. Perfect timing for that. Trying to jump back to our main screen here to run a search. Let's see. I'm kind of freezing up here, John. It's not letting me click anything.
I'll spare the audience me singing the Jeopardy song regardless.
I appreciate that. It's not letting me click here. I don't know if it's my internet connection or what's happening, but We can take a peek here at the quote history that's showing on our screen. We'll see if I can come back here. I can keep trying to work with this if you'd like to see if my screen will load back for me, if we want to keep moving on, or what you'd like me to do, but it looks like I'm at a standstill for the moment.
I think that's actually an illustration of the number of quotes that have been run as part of it. You got a lot of data in the system, and even though it's a little bit of a delay, it's a practical illustration of some of the things that we see as we use the tool, and also gives us an idea of the fact that, boy, there's a lot of stuff in there. We're getting a lot of great detail from the beast in the industry here, so it all works out.
I think I'm still jammed up here, John. I think this is it's not going to work out for me to get out of this screen. I'm trying to click around the screen. It won't even let me switch over or stop sharing my screen here. So I think I'm having a bit of a technical difficulty on my end, but we can certainly re-record this and we can get it out to the audience if we'd like to highlight this later. But for some reason, I'm unable to do anything here. I'm at a little bit of a loss. My computer, I think, is frozen on me.
Well, let's take a beyond some of the actual usage of the software system and give folks a detail as to how this can benefit them in planning their future marketing programs. Because simply put, you know, a whole bunch of folks now are very comfortable doing some things telephonically, electronically, and that's one of the nice things about the tool. Some of the basic quotes, it gives us the opportunity to deliver on that information in multiple fashions. So it's not all bad, we'll put it that way, and we will make certain that we're able to give a condensed version of this as well in another re-record. But for the folks that are on the line and looking at some of this detail, can you give us kind of how is the color scheme matched? We see on the left-hand side of the screen in this circumstance, we're seeing Pennsylvania, and we're looking at some Nebraska zips in a lot of circumstances here. So the system's trying to spit out the data. Taylor, how do the colors work? So it's a deeper color that is more active, or that's my assumption from some of the things that are shown on the screen.
Yes, that's absolutely correct. So we can definitely talk about some of the ways that the information is displayed and some of the benefits of this tool. So the areas that you're seeing are darker are going to have the higher activity. So the higher quote activity is going to be the darker color. That's how the heat maps work in general in this tool. So anytime you see the darker color, that's going to be where the higher activity is or where a carrier is more competitive. So that's really going to highlight the highest activity or the highest count. So if we're doing a search where it's population over 65 or population turning 65, that darker color is always going to indicate the best opportunity or the highest count. A couple other ways that we can leverage this tool, not only from a market edge standpoint, but when we do the rate comparison, which you'll see later when we get this out to you, the rate comparison tool will actually allow you to enter in a particular quote that's run. So you can search the state as we just did, but you'll actually enter a carrier's rate. So you'll choose your carrier, you'll select a plan type. So maybe we want to do a United World Life or an Aetna carrier plan, then we can choose the carrier, we can choose the plan type as well as male or female, and actually select the quote that we would run. And then it will show a heat map of where that carrier's plan is most competitive. So a great benefit of that would be if a new carrier comes to market. So maybe we have a carrier that is brand new and it's available, and you want to get a quick snapshot of the entire country or of a state where this carrier is most competitive. That's a really useful way to check out that information without having to run a quote in every single state or every single zip code. You can just enter in that carrier, maybe what plan type you're interested in, male or female, and then it will show you on a heat map where those carriers are most competitive. So when you can see that, then you know what areas to target. Also, it can show you maybe what states you should be licensed in. So maybe you are an Aetna or Mutual of Omaha agent and you want to run one of these searches for rate comparison. Then it can show you on the entire country where these carriers are most competitive, and you can say, wow, maybe I'm not licensed in this particular state, but I should be, because I could really sell a lot of this plan because it's super competitive in this state. So that'd be one way to use that. Another is to see where the most Medicare eligible individuals live, or where the biggest gap is in the Medicare eligible and policyholder count. So as we can see, the tool will show us the number of MedSup policyholders, but also the people that are turning 65. So you can really tell if it's an area where it's already highly saturated for MedSup policyholders or Medicare Advantage enrollment, or if there's a lot of opportunity there. So it can show you where there's opportunity to target these individuals, and also which carriers you should be getting appointed with. I mentioned briefly for what states would be the most competitive for particular carriers, but this is also great to see when a new carrier comes out and they're new to the market. You can take a peek and say, are they competitive in my area? Is this one that I should, if I'm just keeping maybe my resident state licenses, is this one that I can be really competitive in for my state? So it's really a great tool rather than having to run a lot of different quotes and try and do all this back end work on your own to really get a snapshot of the competitive nature of the market. So really those are the biggest key points, I think, not only from a quote history standpoint, where it leverages millions of quotes run from all of our quoting tools, but it also shows you a futuristic view. You can run future effective dates on these rates. So maybe you want to check out some rates that are for 5/1 or May 1st. You can certainly run future rates, and so you can actually get ahead of your competition by taking a peek a little bit into the future and seeing where there's going to be the most competitive plans when those rates come out on 5/1.
That's awesome. That also gives us then, as you mentioned, a point of comparison, because we're about to enter into the infamous, gee, it's 6 months away, but we have MA carriers coming out with benefits for 2022 very quickly. And for folks that are concentrating on one spectrum, part of the spectrum of the Medicare market versus the other, they can kind of use that as a guide as to where to go. And as you mentioned, examine their portfolio of carriers that they have and see if there is additional contracting opportunities, licensing opportunities that would behoove them to bring on another carrier. I mean, it's just, there are so many opportunities out there with different insurance companies. Sometimes it's a little difficult to kind of sort through who you need to have and who you don't. And with a particular market like this, that can make a huge difference. So thank you for that detail. Are we unfrozen? We're back to Nebraska.
Are you seeing Nebraska on my screen? Let's take a peek here. We can switch. So Nebraska here, it looks like there's maybe a lag in the loading. I'm still frozen on what I can select here, but you can now see, if you're checking out Nebraska on my screen, you can see the entire state loaded. Again, this is for the Market Edge quote history. So you can see that the darker colors is showing where the MedSup quotes have been run, the highest number of MedSup quotes run. And then also on this window that you can see, as you hover over each of the zip codes, it will also list the population over 65. So those of you are people that are Medicare eligible for sure. And then your population turning 65. So each month when you want to go in and run these searches, you can compare month over month to see who's turning 65 this month, what are our counts looking like. You can even check out, month over month and compare this data, and then see also the MedSup policyholder counts and Medicare Advantage enrollment numbers. So again, all very good to be able to know from a demographic standpoint. We also have carrier information in there that's loaded, carrier competitiveness, such as an average annual rank. So one thing that may happen is you see when you're running quotes in the system that a certain carrier is very competitive. They're at the very top of the screen. But you may want to know historically, is this somebody who over the past few months or on an average annual basis, is this a carrier that's competitive most of the time, or are they just competitive right now? So it can show you also history of carriers' competitiveness and maybe which carriers are the best option or historically have been very competitive in the marketplace.
That's a great opportunity for us to really map out a plan of attack, not only once data, as I mentioned before, starts to come in for future effective dates, but there are a whole lot of us that aren't independently wealthy that need to pay bills now. And this is a great way to kind of tweak a marketing approach you may have had, an agent may have had, and it is giving them fresh data. And I think that's one of the big advantages of this tool is this is all fresh. So we're not going back 2-3 years, though you could with the calendar piece that you mentioned to give a kind of a history. We're talking about the here and now, and a great way to Well, an old Prudential manager of mine used to say, "Kill it today, eat it tonight," type of thing. And that's a great way to, help with that attack mode or planning where we're going to effectively market. That's great. And I think,
Yes.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No problem. I was just going to say another piece of that carrier competitiveness is it will also show things if you want to get really granular. Maybe you're a big data person and you want to know what percentage of the time a carrier is in the top 5 or what percentage of time the carrier's been in the top 10 most competitive. You can check out all that history. So not only is it useful for, of course, your clients that you're working with, because more than ever, I know I hear it on the phone all the time, agents are interested in the increase history or a carrier's competitiveness, the history of the carrier's competitiveness. But really, this is a useful tool for you as the agent because you can see for yourself, if you're considering getting contracted with certain carriers, how often are they really in the top 10 carriers or how often are they really in the top 5 for a given area? Rate changes happen a lot with Medicare supplement and they're not always stagnant. So that's why these tools are so useful because you want to always be able to run quotes and be on top of the game of which carriers are competitive in the now. But again, it really shows how often maybe a carrier's in that, like I said, top 5 most competitive plans or top 10 most competitive plans in a certain area. So that's all information that you can leverage from this tool that really helps both your clients and it helps you be as informed as possible when working with your clients and helping them choose the best option.
Awesome. So that's real data that an agent can use in another section of the tool where we're doing a side-by-side comparison of 1, 2, 3, or however many carriers and make it those carriers that they contract with and have real data to back that up. That's great.
Absolutely. And another big question we get is a lot of times we have clients that are familiar with which carriers are competitive in the now, but a big question that we see come up often is this carrier may be the most competitive now as I'm a 65-year-old, but who's going to be the most competitive in a couple years from now? Or is this carrier going to increase the second that I turn 66 or 67? Are my prices going to increase dramatically? So another thing that you can do is always leverage from the quoting tools the age increases, and that can be found just on the regular quoting tool as well. When you're running a quote, always make sure that you're taking a peek at which carriers increase with age and which ones don't, because that seems to be a really hot topic that comes up with our clients or as they're working with their clients and asking, is my rate going to go up as I age? So that's another thing that really seems to be coming up often, and you can definitely leverage the information in the tool to be able to provide that information to your clients and give them peace of mind when making a decision.
And it's another way of identifying a different target market as well. There's so much activity in the T65 market, and the folks that have entered into contracts or picked up a med sup, and as you mentioned, are now 66, 67, that gives us an opportunity to isolate and target that demographic as well. And those are the folks that may have had that price increase and are more open to speaking with us and aren't getting some of the same marketing pressure that we see from carriers, other agents on the folks that are turning 65. So that flexibility is a huge advantage, and utilizing this can help us really focus in on the areas where we can be most effective. That's awesome. So I think at this particular point in time, then, Taylor, if you would agree, we might go back to and kind of finish up some of the reasons why folks want to go through this process with us, outside of the fact that obviously a contracted agent with us has access to the CSG tool without charge and as part of the MedicareCENTER. And we will do a specific demonstration of this singularly and send that out as well and post it on our website. So we have a direct recording of market edge capabilities. Is that okay with you?
That sounds great to me, and we'll be sure that everything is smooth sailing with the technology and that we won't have any issues, and it will be nice and updated, and we'll get a fresh version out to everybody so they can take a peek at this great tool.
Well, I think that this is actually a good illustration of the fact that, there are certain areas where you may not have some of the internet capabilities that we would like, and planning and targeting with this tool is generally done beforehand as opposed to a quote in a home or on a conversation. So it's an opportunity for us to go through and visit with particulars too. I'm going to make certain that there may be questions, but let's see. The only thing that we have here is a reference to technical difficulties outside of ours, where some folks can see the screen and don't necessarily have some of the audio. So part of this recording will address that, and that'll be fine. And as I mentioned, we will work to make certain that we address it. And as someone asked, Taylor, they're asking us, what are we supposed to do with this information? It's part of a planning process and a deliberation of what carriers need to be in a portfolio and what segment of the market we want to address. Is that your perception of this as well?
Absolutely. It's definitely a sales and marketing tool that you would want to use ahead of time in order to really target those areas. Or we always say when we're talking about this tool and getting the word out, is that it really helps you target any gaps where there's any maybe Medicare eligible individuals that don't have coverage. You can find the gaps of opportunity, or you can also target where a carrier is most competitive. For your state licenses, we do have an example that we'll definitely get out in a map view that I've generated, where one particular state, for example, we ran a carrier. It's in the same state, it's the same plan type, it's a Plan G for a female non-tobacco, and you'll take a look at the map, and it will actually be all different colors from green, yellow to red, where green is the most competitive, and it shows where that carrier is actually the most competitive carrier, whereas in other zips, it's more than $10 away from the most competitive plan. So as an agent, it's really important not to only look at the state as a whole, but some of these states really do have different rates based on their zip codes. And so it's really important for the agent to know what parts of the state are most competitive. If you're licensed with a particular carrier, it's really important to know where in the state it's most competitive, so you can offer that plan as the most competitive. Nobody wants to offer their plan to an area where it's maybe towards the bottom of the list. So it's good to save yourself time and also offer these plans to your clients where they're the most competitive. And it's great to see that in a quick map view without having to run quotes across the entire state. You can just run the search, and it will show you on the map view where you should be targeting these areas.
That's awesome. And because CSG is so widely used and there's such a large number of quotes being generated by the software, it also gives us an indication of how competitive an area is with other agents working that area as well. And I think for some folks, that might be a precursor as to inclusion on their marketing plan or not. So a good piece that is based just on why are we worried about how many quotes are run in a particular area, or why would that be important to us? Well, it's a true indicator of market pressure for certain, and gives us an idea of how many people are out there in that particular area. So great pieces that are available there. So what we might do now is just kind of complete a little bit of background as to how we can help you in addition to the use of this tool. Taylor and I will circle back and make certain we have a succinct video recording of just the use of Market Edge. So watch for both of those, and they'll come to you as well. We want to make certain that you realize this is a mobile tool. You've got an eApp that's part of it, the cross-selling opportunities that come as part of the CSG tool. There's a specific video that we've done on that as well. And even though a lot of the activity generated by the software does tend to look at some of the Medicare supplement opportunities, that does bring about discussions in many cases of the full spectrum of product that's out there. But in certainty, when someone speaks to you about a med sup, a lot of times they'll bring up the prescription drug coverage. So having the capability of doing an electronic scope of appointment and storing it through this software package as well is really, really a big help for us too. So it gives us the indications then of making certain that we look at perhaps an area that might have low income subsidy that affects our capabilities of selling a premium product. And utilizing multiple quotes as well. So it's a great piece to go through and do an entire function. We wanted to concentrate on collecting the data and helping you pinpoint target areas, and that's the point of this particular demonstration. Some of the things you'll see from Premier as well, as you go through and you identify areas where you may need additional contracts, or you looked at a bundle on some of the ancillary products that would work in the cross-selling scenario. The SurancePay program does allow you to create an agent profile and contract electronically with carriers. In certain circumstances, some carriers, not everyone participates in this program. The vast majority do, but it's all part of that electronic trend we're seeing. And this really helps us deal with handwriting issues, missing the question, that sort of thing. And that same thought process comes through in making certain that we protect your financial wherewithal too. So we discount errors and admissions coverage for qualified agents. What makes you qualified? You got a contract with us, but you're owning this policy. And so if you have programs through multiple marketing organizations, this can apply regardless. And there are very, very, very few insurance companies now that don't require E&O. So this is really helpful for you. We also want to make certain that we help you with maintaining your insurance license. So we have an arrangement with WebCE to bundle continuing education classes to make certain that that stays up to snuff. And you have a program where you can write a modified guarantee issued disability income program on yourself, receive a commission, and increase your own benefit package. Much as where today's presentation is being recorded, past presentations are available as well. They're on our website or on our YouTube channel. They speak of marketing concepts, tools such as the CSG Market Edge, different programs that are out there that are available for you 24/7 for review and your viewing pleasure. As I mentioned, this is part of the MedicareCENTER program that we have available without cost to our agents that is powered by 3 different quoting tools. On the Medicare Advantage side, through the Medicare app powered by Connecture, the Medicare Link app powered by Sunfire, and of course, the CSG tool that has so many unique ways of marketing across the spectrum and giving us the data we need to pinpoint where we need to go. While Medicare Advantage and PDP programs aren't able to offer a lot of spiffs when it comes to an incentive or a trip, many of the Medicare supplement programs do have those incentives in play. So do many of the other insurance plans that are offerings that are out there. We have them in a singular space on our website so you can readily identify them. They do help you qualify for the Premier incentive programs too. Last year that was going to be a cruise, turned into a virtual getaway with cash in a lot of people's products, or pockets, I should say. We do also want to make certain that we can put you in front of folks to visit. Medicare supplements, big call campaign for it. You also have an opportunity to do call campaigns for other programs that might help ease you into that T65 market, where some of the ancillary programs see an increase in their premium from 64 to 65. A great reason to reach out to people. We can get you a contact call list butted up against do not call at a reduced price, or in some circumstances, no cost at all to you. And these same sort of opportunities can be delivered through centers of influence in the community, through different ways of reaching out there, be it live or virtually, the retail marketing programs. And I was on a webinar yesterday. They're already starting to talk about Walmart for 2022. The carriers are also starting to talk about some of their retail programs. And for folks that have participated in the past, it's something you want to roll year round anyway. So it's there for you. We have also ways for you to deliver the message through centers of influence, such as faith-based organizations or providers that are delivering on the benefits. We do have relationships with carriers that can help you with leads as well. A lot of that is a symbiotic relationship you have with carriers too. And we do offer internet and direct mail programs that can help you. We also rolled out a great program to help you maximize your referrals too. That mail program is based on production. It'll deeply discount the cost of that tried and true direct mail plan that you direct. And it is through certain vendors. But we also have 2 programs that will enable you to access mail returns without creating the entire mail campaign. Obviously, if you create and control the campaign, your leads are as fresh as you'll ever get them. These have never been touched, but obviously, when they come in and by the time you get them, they may be a few days old, and that can affect some things. That internet lead program is based on Facebook activity for both final expense and Medicare leads. The way these are set up because of compliance in the Medicare world, a lot of it reaches out to Medicare choices in the Medicare supplement world. So right in line with what we're talking about today. And we go through all this to make certain that you realize we want your business. We ask for your business. We'd like you to refer other agents to us as well. And we want to do that through earning your business by providing such tools as CSG's Market Edge at no cost to you. And as Taylor mentioned, that's not too common in the industry. And we want to make certain that it then becomes a part of your marketing plan, and enables you to be more efficient in your means of gathering business to you. So watch for the follow-up that we'll send out. 2 different links will come to you, one on the overall presentation for today, one specifically on Market Edge as well. You can reach us through our toll-free number at 1-800-365-8208. We will be sending out that follow-up. You can respond to that email. Watch your spam filters, because sometimes links will pull you in there. But you can also get data at our website at premiersmi.com, contact information, and we will follow up with you too. So all of that said, we're going to check one more time to see if I have questions I need to address. No, we got them all here. And so I want to thank Taylor for her presentation. Some great detail in there. You're going to see a refinement of that recording come to you. And until we're able to speak with you again, we wish you good selling. Thanks so very much, and we'll talk to you soon. And once again, thank you, Taylor.
No problem. Thank you.